Alright. Hello, hello. Chainsaw Man chapter 171 just came out. And it's a pretty quick chapter to read through. There's not that much to talk about, but we're gonna go ahead and do it anyways. First, to quickly summarize the chapter, Denji is a bit flabbergasted at the sight of Nayuta's head, as you might expect him to be. Barum is nonchalantly kind of apologizing for it, but you can tell he's not sorry at all. So Denji chokes him. And as he's doing that, his gut is bursting out of his body and ties itself around his neck. Now, there are some symbolism probably for this imagery. It could be a umbilical cord to symbolize his death and rebirth, because stillborn babies sometimes get umbilical cords like tied around their neck. It could also be a collar, because Denji has been said to be a puppy, a dog for a lot of the series. So there's a lot of what this could be. His scarf thing could be a chain, a collar, a cord, umbilical cord, a bunch of things. But anyways, he chokes Barum so hard that he just rips his head clean off his body. Um, yeah, that's what you got to work out. Big forearms, big grip. But Asa turns into Yoru, maybe out of instinct, to as Yoru is ready to fight the Rio Chainsaw Man here. And Denji fully transforms into Pochita. um, and while as that's happening, the public safety devil hunter that's monitoring them outside calls for backup. They mentioned a devil division 1 and a division 2. So we know that division 2 was what Aki was once in. So presumably that's just like a normie devil hunter squad. As well as a special division 5, which is the title of the chapter. And so the main squad in part 1 was special division 4, which is mostly composed of fiends and Denji. That's the main squad of part 1. And division 7 is the main squad of, well, maybe not the main. They haven't really shown up that much. But that was what Fumiko, Katana Man, the Nail Fiend, I didn't put a picture of that up, and possibly Quan Chi are in. As far as what's the difference between the special divisions, I really don't know. I think they just, maybe there's not really a clear reason why they're divided up the way they are. They just do it numerically. But anyways, the Special Division 7 are sent to stop or at least slow down Pochita, and they are put in a similar predicament to the other special squads in that they need to be useful or they will be executed. And as far as the specific members of the squad we have, they are pretty much entirely composed of fiends, and we know that because they look pretty human for the most part, at least humanoid shaped. So the first one here is it's probably the easiest one to tell what he is. I assume like some kind of a sound fiend, because he got massive ears. His eyes are either removed completely or just sealed shut. So it's definitely some kind of ear, hearing, sound related things. I don't know about ears because I don't know how many people are really out there afraid of ears specifically, so I'm more inclined towards like sound and noises. Next, we have the crocodile fiend, probably, or alternatively, she could be the biting fiend, because being bitten is kind of scary. So yeah, half of her face has been taken over by a probably a crocodile. But something interesting is that at the in the final page of the chapter, you can kind of tell that she is missing an entire arm, and that made me think of when Makima took over Aki and he missed both his arms suddenly for no reason. Because when she took over Aki, he still had one of his arms left. But here, he's missing both of them. So that makes me think that this particular person, before she was possessed, was maybe somehow accosted by Makima as well. Because Makima did use like a bunch of devil hunters in her final fight with Denji. So this made me think that she might be one of them. Perhaps she might even be in the graveyard fight if we look closely enough. I doubt it, but it's a possibility. Next, we have this guy, and this is where it's getting harder to tell what kind of fiend devils they represent, because he has twin ram goat horns, which do make you think that he might be related to a goat. But as we know, devils like they often have a lot of features that just have nothing to do with what they represent, like the cockroach devil or the justice devil. They look nothing like cockroaches or justice. I don't know what justice look like, but that don't look like it. But he could also be some kind of a skin fiend because his skin don't look good at all. He look like he needs a lot of antibiotics and lotion and everything. So he could potentially be a skin fiend, an infection fiend, possibly. Um, yeah. Moving on, we have this fiend. She looks entirely human outside of her eyes being completely dark. As well as the three dots on her face. Um, I don't know what this is. My first instinct is that this might be some kind of an insect because of the eyes as well as the random dots here, but I don't think there is really any way to tell what this is reasonably. So yeah, moving on to the next one. She also looks very human outside of the spikes that's coming out of her head. Uh so right away she's smiling like a dummy. She looks really dumb, but I feel like she might be the scariest one. Uh I'm inclined to say maybe she could be the smiling fiend or a laughing fiend because some people's smiles are intimidating. They have scary smiles. But going back to her looking kind of dumb, I think there is potential that she could be a how do you say it? Like a brain damage fiend is what I wrote. I don't know if that's the best way to put it. Cause she do look a bit not all there. So that leads me to think that perhaps these things coming out of her head are, actual spikes that's been drilled into her head and limiting her brain functions and making her do the dot D face. So yeah, so I say either the spiraling fiend or spikes. Maybe she summoned spikes. And also if you pay attention to her arm here, it could just be a fold in her clothes, but it almost looks like a bite mark here. And if you look at the hearing devil, the sound devil, or the ears fiend here, looks like he got blood dripping out of his mouth. So it's possible that right before this, he took a bite out of her arm. But with that, the caretaker of the Special Division 7 orders them to get on with attacking Denji, and he promised to buy them sushi and alcohol if they do good. But before they can get started, Pochita teleports behind them, destroys a building, and they haven't before they can even react. Uh that concludes the chapter. The this guy looks kind of like Levi, but like all from Attack on Titan. But But anyways, not that much to go over. But one thing I do want to talk about is the, I guess, condition for Denji to turn into Pochita here. Because previously, we have a couple different interpretations. Makima thinks she have to utter this phrase as well as to summon Pochita out of Denji. And she was under the impression that Pochita made a contract with Denji of him living a normal life. And if she breaks that contract, she can like submerge Denji and have Pochita come out. However, that might be a misunderstanding on her part because she thinks that Denji made a contract with Pochita to live a normal life, whereas the actual contents of the contract was just for Denji to show Pochita his dreams. And so, that puts some cracks into Makima's theory here. On the other hand, Barum thinks he needs to make Denji unhappy, and Pochita will come out. And so far, it's not wrong exactly, because he did make him unhappy, and Pochita did come out. But as far as what we know, it feels like there's not that much, like, direct line of conditions for Pochita to come out. Because Pochita ultimately, he is Denji's friend. And he really just want to help Denji for the most part. So I think like Pochita's only coming out when he feels Denji needs assistance. When Denji, can't take care of himself anymore. That's when he comes out. At least that's what I'm thinking this is. I see some people also say that they think Denji choking the head out of Barum was satisfying, and I really don't see that. I mean, I think the physical aspect of it could be, but at the same time, that wasn't really Denji in control of himself. And also, Barum and Bammy got what they wanted out of the situation, so I don't really see this at all as a win for Denji. But yeah, that's about the end of the chapter. Overall, I don't know what's gonna happen next. Most people are predicting that Denji's gonna or Pochita's gonna just wipe the floor with these guys. Probably gonna happen, but the only prediction that I think I would have is we see Kobeni in the next two chapters. I've been saying this for like the past 10 chapters as well, but this time I'm gonna be right. But yeah, that's about it for me. Let's see. Let's see. Mr. Feces says he ain't dead, probably too. I assume that's talking about Barum. And yeah, Barum's definitely not dead, just because he's a hybrid. And you can pull on one of his triggers and he should be all good. I don't actually remember Barum's trigger off the top of my head, but yeah. Anyways, that's the end of the chapter. There's gonna be a chapter next week, so I'll see you guys then.